Have you ever had a moment where life felt perfect? Not just good, not just happy, but cinematically perfect. Like a movie scene where the lighting is just right, the music swells, and you are exactly where you are supposed to be. That was my life. Or, at least, that's what I believed. For the better part of a decade, my world revolved around two people. Liam, the love of my life, and Chloe, my best friend since we were 5 years old. Liam, he was the kind of man you read about in novels. Not because he was a chiseled god, but because he saw me. He had this way of listening, of tilting his head just so, that made you feel like you were the only person in the universe. We built a life together, brick by brick. We renovated a small house on the edge of town, we adopted a ridiculously clumsy golden retriever, we had our favorite table at our favorite Italian restaurant. It was a life of comfortable, beautiful, ordinary love, and I treasured it more than anything. And then there was Chloe, my maid of honor, my sister in every way that mattered. She was there when I scraped my knee falling off my first bike. I was there when she had her first heartbreak. We had a language made of inside jokes and shared glances. When Liam proposed, she was the first person I called, screaming into the phone before he'd even finished sliding the ring on my finger. She helped me pick the dress, she tasted the cake with me, she held my hand and told me I deserved all this happiness. The three of us were a unit, a tripod of friendship and love. Inseparable. I looked at our future and saw holiday dinners, shared vacations, our kids growing up together. It was a perfect, shining picture. The wedding was set to be the culmination of everything. It was a big affair, my parents are fortunate, and my father, in a moment of overwhelming generosity, had deposited a very, very significant sum into a new joint savings account for Liam and me. He called it a foundation for our future. When I told Liam, he was humbled, almost to tears. I remember him holding me, swearing he'd spent his life proving he was worthy of such a gift, and of me. I believed him, I believed every single word. Why wouldn't I? My life was perfect. It was 2 weeks before the wedding. 2 weeks. I was on my way to the final fitting for my dress. I was humming along to the radio, tapping my fingers on the steering wheel, my mind a happy whirlwind of seating charts and floral arrangements. I got into my car. Liam had used it earlier that day, and my phone, as it always did, automatically connected to the car's Bluetooth system. Usually, it would just start playing my music, but this time, it did something different. It resumed the last audio file that had been playing through the system, a saved voice message. And a voice filled my car, not the radio, Chloe's voice. And I heard her say words that stopped the world on its axis. I heard her say, "So ridiculous, he actually cried when your dad gave you the money." Like full-on waterworks, it was all I could do not to laugh in his face. Then another voice joined in. Liam S., my Liam, but his voice was slick with a smugness I'd never heard before. He told her, "Let him cry, babe, they're happy tears for us. Another 2 weeks. 2 weeks of playing the doting groom and then we're free. You, me, and a very comfortable future. I just can't wait to be rid of her. God, I can't wait to have you all to myself, for real." Chloe let out this low, throaty giggle. A sound I used to think was so full of life. Now it just sounded venomous. She replied, "Just think of it, Bali, no more sneaking around. No more pretending I actually care about her latest seating chart drama. Just you, me, and the money her idiot father handed over. Soon, baby, so soon." The message ended. Silence rushed back in, thick and suffocating. I sat there in my car in the parking lot of the bridal shop, unable to move. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles were white. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't pounding. It felt like it had just stopped, a block of ice in my chest. My world didn't shatter. It was more insidious than that. It was like watching a photograph burn from the edges inward. The beautiful picture of my life, the love, the friendship, the trust, it was all curling into black ash, revealing the grotesque, ugly truth underneath. Every memory, every shared laugh, every "I love you," every knowing glance from Chloe it. The two people I loved and trusted most in the world, they were parasites and I was the host. I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for the sun to dip below the buildings. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Liam. "Thinking of you, my beautiful bride. Can't wait to make you my wife." A wave of nausea so violent I had to open the car door and gasp for air. My first instinct was primal. It was fire. I wanted to drive to our house, my house, and burn it to the ground. I wanted to scream to Shat. To destroy everything they had touched, everything they had tainted. I wanted to call them and let loose a torrent of rage so venomous it would strip the flesh from their bones. But then, as the fire in my blood cooled, it didn't extinguish. It hardened. It forged itself into something cold, sharp, and patient. Rage is a fire that burns out, but ice cuts, and ice lasts. They wanted a wedding. They wanted to stand up in front of everyone we knew and perform their final, triumphant act. Fine. I would give them the wedding of their dreams, and I would be the director of their final, humiliating scene. The next 2 weeks were the performance of my life. I became the happiest, most blissfully oblivious bride-to-be you have ever seen. I gushed about the flowers. I finalized the seating chart with Chloe, watching her fake enthusiasm, a bitter taste in my mouth. I kissed Liam good morning and good night, feeling his skin crawl against mine, and I smiled. Every loving touch was a lie. Every shared smile was a mask. And with every passing day, the ice in my veins grew thicker. My first call wasn't to a lawyer. It was to my bank. I walked in the next morning, sat down with the manager, and explained that I needed to move the entirety of our joint savings, the foundation my father had so generously provided, into a private account under my name only. It was a substantial amount of money, enough to raise eyebrows. But it was a joint account, and I was one of the owners. I had every right. That evening, Liam noticed the transfer notification. He came to me, his face a perfect mask of concern. "Hey, honey," he said, "I think there might be a mistake with the bank. The wedding fund, it's gone." I produced my masterpiece of a smile. "Oh no, it's not a mistake, darling," I cooed, batting my eyelashes. "I moved it for safekeeping. I'm planning some big surprises for the reception. I want it to be a day we never forget." The relief that washed over his face was disgusting. He thought I was planning to buy him a car or some other extravagant gift. He pulled me into a hug, whispering how amazing I was. "You always think of everything," he said into my hair. "Oh, you have no idea," I thought. My next call was to a private investigator who specialized in digital forensics. I told him the story. I needed everything. Every text message, every deleted photo, every call log between Liam and Chloe's phones. I had access to our phone bills, which gave him the numbers and the starting points he needed. He was expensive, but thanks to my father, I had the resources. The report he delivered a week later was a thick manila folder filled with pure, unadulterated poison. Page after page of their secret life. Texts dating back over a year. Messages planning their secret meetups while I was at work. Cruel jokes about my clothes, my laugh, my naivete. Detailed plans of how they would gently phase me out after the wedding. How Chloe would comfort Liam through his grief over our inevitable divorce. And how they would finally get to live the life they deserved on my family's money. Reading it didn't even hurt anymore. It was just fuel. It was validation. It was the ammunition I needed. My final move was to hire a second videographer for the wedding, separate from the one we had officially booked. I told the main company he was a creative consultant I'd brought on. In reality, his job was simple: get tight, clear shots of Liam's and Chloe's faces during my reception speech. No matter what. I took the forensics report, scanned the most damning text messages, complete with dates and timestamps, and began to build a little video presentation. I chose a simple black background with white text, scrolling slowly, clearly, and legibly. And for the soundtrack, I chose the beautiful, instrumental version of our song. The one we were supposed to have our first dance to. The trap was set. All I had to do was walk down the aisle. The wedding day arrived. It was a beautiful, sunny day, the kind of day they write songs about. It felt like the universe was mocking me with its perfection. I felt strangely calm as my bridesmaids fussed over me. Chloe was there, of course, zipping up my dress, her hands on my back. "Are you nervous?" she asked, her voice syrupy sweet. I looked at her reflection in the mirror. "No," I said, my voice even. "I've never been more sure about what I have to do." She thought I was talking about the marriage. Walking down the aisle was the most surreal experience of my life. Hundreds of faces, all of our friends and family, beamed at me. My father, his eyes misty, walked me toward the man who had been plotting my ruin. And standing there next to Liam was Chloe in her pale blush bridesmaid dress, smiling like an angel. The architect of my heartbreak. I said my vows, repeating the words I'd practiced, the words that now tasted like ash in my mouth. Liam delivered his with theatrical passion, squee. Zing my hands, his eyes shining with fake emotion. When the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," his lips on mine felt like a spider's touch. The crowd erupted in cheers. We were married, for now. The reception was a masterpiece of hypocrisy. The food was exquisite, the champagne flowed, the string quartet played beautifully. We did our rounds, smiling for photos, accepting congratulations. I felt like a visitor in my own life, watching a play where I knew the tragic, bloody ending. Then it was time for the speeches. My father gave a heartfelt, loving speech that made my heart ache. And then, Chloe, my maid of honor, stepped up to the microphone. She was brilliant, I'll give her that. She told stories from our childhood, painting a picture of unbreakable friendship. She talked about the day she met Liam, and how she just knew, that he was the one for me. To find a love like theirs is rare, she said, raising her glass, her eyes glistening with crocodile tears. And to have a friend like Alex is a gift from God. I wish you both a lifetime of the happiness and loyalty you so richly deserve. The room applauded. Liam blew her a little kiss. My stomach turned. Then the best man handed the microphone to me. The coordinator looked confused. It was unusual for the bride to give a speech. But Liam just beamed, thinking I was about to gush about him. I stood up, the room quieted down. I smiled, a wide, bright, toothy smile. "Thank you all so much for coming," I began, my voice clear and steady. "It means the world to us to have every single person we love in one room, and I love you all." I paused, letting my eyes drift over the crowd before they landed on Liam and then on Chloe. Most of you know I'm a big believer that a marriage should be built on honesty and trust, and in that spirit, I'd like to make a toast. But first, I have a little video I put together, a celebration of the real love story here today. I nodded to my secret videographer, who was poised at the back of the room. The main lights in the grand hall dimmed, and the two massive projector screens on either side of the dance floor, which were supposed to be for a happy slideshow of our childhood photos, flickered to life. But there were no photos. Just a black screen. And then our song began to play, the soft, instrumental piano melody, and the first text message appeared in crisp, white letters. From Liam. "She's asleep, can you sneak out?" A confused murmur rippled through the room. I watched Liam's smile falter. Chloe's brow furrowed. The next message scrolled up. From Chloe. Had just spent 3 hours listening to her agonize over napkin colors. "Kill me, I need to see you tonight," the usual spot. The murmuring stopped. The room fell utterly, completely silent. You could hear the hum of the projectors. You could hear a fork clatter against a plate somewhere in the back. And then the texts began to scroll faster, a relentless, damning cascade of their affair. "Her dad just put the money in. We're golden, baby." I had to hold her hand while she cried through a sad movie tonight. All I could think about was you. "Don't worry about the prenup. Her dad's too old-fashioned for that. He trusts me. Fool." She has no idea. She's so in love, it's almost sad. "I can't wait to be on that beach in Bali with you. Just you, finally." With every message, I watched their faces. Liam's face went from confusion to panic to a ghastly, pale white. He looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Chloe was worse. Her mask of angelic friendship melted away, revealing a twisted, horrified snarl. Her jaw was slack. She stared at the screen, then at me, her eyes wide with pure, unadulterated terror. I saw her mother gasp and put a hand to her chest. I saw Liam's father stand up slightly, his face a thundercloud of fury. The video ended with their final, gleeful text from the day before the wedding, planning their post-honeymoon life together. The screen went black. The beautiful, sad piano music faded out. I let the silence hang in the air for a full 10 seconds. I let them suffocate in it. I let every single one of our friends and family members stare at them, the weight of their judgment pressing down. I raised the microphone back to my lips. My voice was no longer cold. It was strong, it was free. "So a toast," I said, raising my champagne flute. "To Liam and Chloe, may they have the life they deserve." I looked directly at them, the two shattered statues of my former life. "The marriage is annulled, by the way. I had the papers drawn up last week. It's over." I turned to the guests. "Please enjoy the party. Eat, drink. The gifts are all yours to keep as a thank you for coming to my liberation party. I looked back at Liam one last time. His mouth was opening and closing like a fish. Oh, and the honeymoon tickets to Bali? First class, non-refundable, and my flight leaves in 2 hours. I let the microphone drop to the floor with a loud, satisfying thud that echoed through the silent hall. I turned around. I didn't run. I walked, head high, back straight, through the aisle of stunned faces. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I could feel the implosion behind me. I could feel the shame, the horror, the fallout. I left them there, in the wreckage of the life they tried to steal, to face the quiet, devastating judgment of everyone they had ever known. As I walked out of the grand doors and into the cool night air, I took my first real breath in 2 weeks. A deep, cleansing breath of freedom. The trip to Bali was not an escape. It was a victory lap. I spent 2 weeks on a beautiful beach, by myself, healing and rediscovering the person I was before them. The person they tried to destroy. They wanted my money, I took it back. They wanted my future, I built a new one. They wanted to make me a fool in a beautiful white dress. I turned their wedding into their public execution.